match is now officially a Judy Bagwell on a forklift match.
Broken, thankless, push you down, open.
And welcome. So I know this is a little strange. This is live on a Tuesday afternoon at 7:30, Tuesday evening at 7:30. This is something we're going to do a little bit more of here on A Forklift. We are going to start trying to do many, many more preview shows, but we'll talk about that shit later. Don't worry about that. Right now, I want to bring on with me a very special guest. He is representing Ruthless Pro Wrestling and the King of the Kill tournament. This is Chris Kohlenberg. Chris, how the hell are you today?
I'm doing great. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely fantastic. So, thank you for doing this with us, by the way. The deathmatch community, as we've known from our previous history in it here at On a Forklift, is a very aggressive community. It's some might call it tight-knit or a little aggressive towards each other. There's a lot of family love there, but it is kind of tribalistic. However, you've pulled talent from everywhere for this event. So is that something that you're just building relations with every coast out there to make this happen?
I wouldn't know if it was building relations as opposed to not starting trouble or getting involved in trouble that has nothing to do with me.
Okay.
I play nice. I do good business. I don't screw with anybody if they don't give me a reason to. I try to put on the best shows I can and do good business. And I usually leave everyone alone unless we're working with them. And that has put me in a position where I maybe can get a hold of people that might not be able to work here or there together, but they can work here because no one's really angry at me with anything.
That's fair. And so I'll get the usual, just we'll rip the one question off out of the way. And then we'll get into this match card.
Okay.
What got the big question for everybody? Deathmatch is one of those acquired tastes. How did you acquire the taste for it?
I grew up in wrestling. It was something that was in my household. I mean, my family didn't watch it, but I watched it young. Grew up on, I'm 42. So, in the Hulk Hogan, 80s era of things. And then when I got a little older, I started tape trading a little bit, and then I started finding some FMW tapes, and from being from around the Detroit area, Stranglemania comes your way, things like that. And you start seeing that there's something a little more crazy and extreme out there. But this is also the time of like ECW when they're really getting big. So, you start getting curious about this more extreme form of wrestling. And I just kind of fell down that rabbit hole, and I've been down here ever since,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's kind of the way that everybody got into it. I mean, that's the way that I got into ECW, because even though you've got 10 years on me, my introduction to ECW was through tapes. And oddly enough, that's my introduction into wrestling as a whole. I didn't watch a lot when I was a kid until I was like 4 or 5 and Nitro and stuff like that. But I remember then finding my grandpa's tape collection of like AWA and Jim Crockett Promotions and stuff like that. So I kind of grew up on the South, very Memphis talky storyline stuff. Obviously, this is very different than that.
Yes.
This is your first annual deathmatch tournament. And you have one hell of a lineup here, including some channel favorites. So let's just run this down, man. I'm going to start at the top of the card that you have here. Dr. Redacted versus Crazy King. Crazy King has jumped onto the Detroit scene here recently and is popping up just about everywhere, including your show. And then Dr. Redacted, I don't know the last time he was on a Michigan show.
Dr. Redacted doesn't work. I don't think he's worked Michigan at all aside from us. He's pretty choosy where he'll work. He really likes working at RPW. So I think the last time he was in Michigan was with us back in January for This Time It's War when he wrestled MM3.
Okay.
Aside from that, I think that's the only time he's ever wrestled. Well, in this iteration, because he used to be Dr. Cube in Big Kaiju Battle. So he probably has been here under Dr. Cube with Big Kaiju.
Okay. Yeah, no, I totally get that. It's what a change in character as well, and really
Mhm.
just kind of a rebirth, almost a phoenix of this scene. There's somebody else that's not on this card that did a similar thing, but this is much less controversial in his thing. And then we move on to Joel Bateman and Schlack. Schlack, I have my own personal experience with. Joel Bateman's kind of been missing from the Michigan scene as well, and I know this is a highly anticipated by quite a few people I've talked to for him to come back and be part of this.
Yeah, Joel lives in Australia. It's been a while since it's been pretty much actually a year since his last tour over here, and he was part of our show then. This is his only show this year, and will be from Australia. We were just lucky enough to be able to work it out with him. He's got a very busy schedule with his family life and running his own promotion down in Australia. It's not really easy to get him the time up here, but we were able to work it out. And luckily, with some good sponsor friends of ours, we got him flown up. He landed yesterday. He's already in the US of A. So he will be here Friday and Saturday for ourselves and Unsanctioned Pro. And then he flies out on Monday, and that's going to be his only appearances in the US this entire year.
That, you know what, very exclusive and a little bit of an exotic flavor that it brings to the table here. Now, I'm going to hold off on talking about one match. I know you see the shirt, so we're going to talk about that in a minute, because these two, I'm very excited to eventually see what happens with that. But then we have Judge Joe Dredd versus Mo Atlas. So I got my first taste of Hoodfoot in person this past weekend at Flophouse, and I was impressed. I know it wasn't a death match, but I have seen Mo in death matches on other things. Big shout out to Wrestling Rage here. Thank you, Cody. I'm excited for this one. This is a good. This to me, this is screams East Coast death match, like that Midwest East Coast death match kind of deal.
These are two very big boys. Hoodfoot is no stranger to RPW. He's been around here for years now. He's one of the guys that really has cut his teeth and done a lot of great things with us, and has gone on to do even better things. Now he's the American Deathmatch champion. Joe Dredd is somebody I've had my eye on. I think he's one of those guys that hasn't had enough people see him yet. But when they see him, they will see what a total package he really is. The guy can talk, he can wrestle. He's got a solid gimmick. I think this will be a really solid hoss fight style battle. They are both built kind of similarly, so this is going to be quite a match.
Then we get into quite a battle of characters here. Schwartzy and Herzog. Now, this is a styles clash if I have ever seen one, in regards to just visually.
I will say that is a non-tournament match. That is going to be a match in between tournament rounds. That's going to be for Schwartzy's Kamikaze title, which he won back in Chicago at Take Is Needed for Pain, and has defended at Flophouse, True Wrestling Underground, and a few other places. The whole point of this belt is for our champion to take it other places and defend it under our banner, and it could be defended to anybody, anywhere. And Herzog, he's somebody that's wrestled for us quite a few times before, but he has kind of disappeared for almost a year now. And he's a very mysterious character. Even talking to him, even booking him is a very odd experience. These guys also, every match that's happening on this entire show has never happened before. And may not be able to happen on their banners. And this is just another one who was just like, I don't know what's going to happen with this one. And I almost booked it out of that curiosity because their styles are so different. Schwartzy does a lot of mat wrestling, does a lot of submissions. He's a technical deathmatch wrestler, but Herzog kind of is unpredictable. He's kind of a wild man. I'm not really sure there's a full style you can give to him, because it just kind of seems like a guy going berserk. So I was interested in that technicality mixing up with that berserk violence.
I don't know if anybody's ever called Schwartzy refined, but in this sense, he's going to look refined compared to the style that Herzog brings to the table.
If you watch how Schwartzy wrestles, he is actually a very technical wrestler.
Yes, I have seen him. It's just I think the appearance, the character,
Yeah.
and everything lends credence to him being a little looser, a little more free spirited. But if you watch, there's almost there's an Owen Hart level of like technicality to his work. He is very good on that, which makes him one of those guys that can pull in and out of the deathmatch scene very easily because he can do both.
Absolutely.
The other match, and now this is a tag team match, so this is clearly going to be one of the non-tournament matches.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Grimy himself, Zach Thomas, and Dread King Logan, who I believe are the RPW tag team champions currently.
They are.
Against Hardcore 69, which what a pairing and what a trip that has been since Pondo has come back from Japan.
Yeah. Luckily this fell in the window. It would just be here for just a little bit. Shadow is a legend. He worked under Onita. He has had countless legendary matches under his belt. And the problem we've been having with Midwest Scum is they are in quite the title reign right now. And it's hard for me to find teams that really give them the challenge anymore. Like they're just cutting through them because they are cohesing so well. They're just cutting through teams like butter. But they've never really been up to like with two legends, full-on legends like this. So if they can take these guys down, then they deserve to have those belts. I mean, it's one of those things where Shadow WX, training under FMW and Onita, has a completely different style that is very foreign to over here. And it may, be the monkey wrench that might knock the gears out of place and take them down, if that makes sense,
So this is one of those things where we kind of know what Logan and Zach bring to the table. These guys are, while being veterans, they're very good, wrestlers of a regular style or a more televised style. And as Cody says, they always deserve those belts. Well, yes, they are very good. I do think just on paper, they are at such a disadvantage at this because of the experience that stands across the ring from them. So that'll be a very interesting watch. Now, I'm going to get to the match on the card that I am excited for. It's not only because I have the Thomas Oliver Vendetta official Lovable Psychopath t-shirt on, but also Remington Roar is just an absolute monster and current RPW champion. Is that correct?
He is not.
No. What was that was a Flophouse thing that he had a title at.
Yes. Yes.
All I know is that I have seen him in action in person a few times now, and each time it gets more aggressive.
Yeah, he is one of those guys that has done things I have witnessed myself that I have trouble comprehending. I've seen a lot, I've been doing this a little while now. I've seen a lot of wrestlers do a lot of wild stuff. I saw this man pick up a cactus and take a bite out of it like an apple in the middle of a match. I've seen him get tased, get barbed wire, like all kinds of wild stuff, and nothing seems to phase this guy. And he is built well. He has the total package when it comes to wrestling skills. This guy, I think he's tuning up for like a really breakout year coming up, because now it's before, he was just getting his name out there and, getting those matches and those repetition where people started finding out who he was. Now they know who he is, and now they're paying attention to him, and now they're going to start seeing it,
If I looked at this and you just gave me a list of these 8 men and said these are the guys in the tournament, normally I'd look at this and go, this is going to be the final round matchup, but you're getting this in the first round, so this kind of throws, if I had a prediction, completely out the window. And as much as I love Tommy, I don't think the Legos are going to do it. I've seen what Roar does, and I'm pretty sure he's impervious to small plastic blocks.
Yeah, I've seen him take a lot worse than a Lego, I'll tell you that.
So my question to round this whole thing out, how did the seating come about? Was this a hat? Was this like, pulling names out of a hat where we drawing straws here? Are these matches that you've wanted to see and you said, this is how we're going to slot it? Pulling that back just a little bit, or were there call outs? Because I know that tends to be a thing in deathmatch wrestling.
No, this is something I've been working on for a while. Basically I wanted everything to be, when I look at tournaments, usually like you said, I could be like, that guy or that guy is going to win. I wanted to do something to where Some of those guys were in the same match. A lot of it are matches that you've never seen happen before. Well, all of them. None of these matches on this card have ever happened anywhere before. But I also wanted it to be where even by the matches themselves, make it unpredictable by who would win. Because a lot of people could look at some of those first round matches and be like, I would have guessed that to be the final match. And I kind of wanted to have that momentum all the way through, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And that's the level of gravitas that all of these men bring to this tournament. It makes it to where you can't look at it and essentially pick a tournament favorite. If I had to have said above, like I said, Vendetta, Roar, that could have been it. But very easily, any of them could be on here. Like you said, you have Hoodfoot, the American Deathmatch tournament or American Deathmatch champion. You've got the Human Meat Grinder and Schlack, which is not to be discredited because he's built like a brick shit house. And I've seen the man eat fucking fluorescent tubes. I don't have a better way. Like he's terrifying. He's just flat out terrifying. I think it's going to be a fantastic show. For everybody that's watching, it takes place Maybee, Michigan, August 12th. When are doors for this gate, I guess, would be the appropriate time.
Well, if I could plug the whole weekend, there is our show on Saturday, but this is actually a weekend planned event. Unsanctioned Pro is running the Friday night before us. They have a full night of activities as well. There's a tailgate party starting at 6. The 740 boys have donated over 200 beers and snacks that will all be free to start the tailgate off. Their show starts at 8. And then after that, our own Bobo, who works with me, is doing a smoke out. There's quite a few joints he's going to be passing around the bonfire. After that, Severn Films has donated a large stack of movies. We're going to do a midnight movie marathon where they're letting us raffle off and give away a whole bunch of sealed Blu-rays and DVDs. Then there's free camping. And then Saturday is when our show starts. It'll be noon. There'll be a weapons building workshop with our fuckery fairy, Indrid Cold. At between 1 and 2 p.m., the bands will start. There'll be 5 bands. There is Bladder Smasher, who is a lucha skate punk band that sings about nothing but wrestling. There is Humid, who does stuff like Dillinger Escape Plan or Every Time I Die. There is Backbiter, who's more of like a hardcore band. There is a band called Reptile, which is a offshoot of Mutilatrade, which is a big band from around here. And then the boys in Elbow Deep are going to come and get really violent with light tubes and whatnot, which will then lead into the tournament. The tournament starts at 7. That's when we go live. That's not when like seating starts. That's when we go live to IWTV. So that's the full weekend of events right there.
Awesome. And so, like you said, you can find that on IWTV. If you want to watch this event, please go check it out. Give it a look. There's a lot of wrestling. There was a lot of wrestling happen last weekend. There's a lot of wrestling happening this weekend. Everybody needs to get eyes on all of it. Chris, thank you so much for joining me here this evening. I greatly appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this tournament. And best of luck to you guys. And best of luck cleaning that mess up, because I've shot some deathmatch stuff from ringside, and just weeks later, I'm convinced I think there's still glass in my laptop. So
yeah, I constantly find glass and tacks and everything I own sometimes weeks later.
Oh yeah, it's a messy sport, but damn do the people love it.
Absolutely.
So once again, for me, I'm Ethan, on a forklift, whatever. Look at that stuff. To my right, that's Chris Kohlenberg from Ruthless Pro Wrestling. And this weekend is the King of the Kill tournament live from Maybee, Michigan. Go check them out. Give them a like, give them a follow. And as always, we love you, Judy.